Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Juwai IQI Canada evening talk. My name is Yousaf Iqbal, country head of Juwai IQI Canada. With me is Junaid Zikar, VP Investments, Juwai IQI Canada. Hey, Junaid, how are you doing?
I'm good, Yusuf. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, man, except for this weather. This last sort of a winter thing which you get. So surprisingly, I got up in the morning, saw some snow out of my driveway, and I was like, okay, I thought it was coming, but especially it's like they say when you're about to enter into a good weather, there's always this last wave of winter that comes through. So that's what we're experiencing right now.
I think the last episode of the snow. I think it's very light snow, so I think it's already over now. So I think from tomorrow onwards, or day after, is again the rain, and we're already seeing some greenery coming back to the trees and the flowers and the leaves.
So,
So it's a
but the
good.
difference is that from t-shirts, I've gone back to my sweater on
Yeah,
that.
it's okay. It's last few days, I guess.
Absolutely. So today, Junaid, one of the topics which we have been coming across, especially, as you know, that we deal with a lot of new immigrants who come to Canada, and some of the key factors they need to consider before coming to Canada. Especially if they're coming it for the first time or they are returning immigrants who's landed up. So there are very serious. There's a series of steps that needs to be taken up, especially now with pandemic, things are a bit different when people were coming before on that. So we thought we'll talk about some of the steps on that. So why don't you start and start with the step and then we'll take it up from
Yeah,
there.
I think Yusuf rightly said that Canada is a land of immigrants, right? It's a country of immigrants. And Canada is one of the topmost country. Recently, one of the surveys done and studies done, where Canada was regarded as a number one country, number one favorite country for the immigrants across the world, globally, who are looking to immigrants. So Canada is always, we have seen the preferred country to immigrate, and there is a number of reasons behind it, especially with the COVID, the way government has provided support and then everything possible. And now with I mean, even we have a lockdown, but it's having third phase and the fourth phase. But I think still we see the influx of immigrants is unstoppable. Even with the COVID, you have seen a lot of immigrants who are going to coming back, and with the summer when the school year ends in a lot of different countries, you will see a lot of people who are going to move because nobody want to move in the middle of the school year until it's absolutely necessary and they have a reason to move. So we have seen. I mean, today I spoke to one of my clients who, and we as in Juwai IQI with offices in 17 plus countries. We have a lot of clients, especially the new immigrants who are coming back to Canada, whether the soft landing or the hard landing, always get in touch with us to our different offices and directly to our team in Canada. So I was talking to one of the my potential client who I've been talking to for some time, and the reason he started talking to me is connected to me through some reference, and the way he told the feedback he gave me, that it's good that he started talking to me early enough, because I we are not only talking about on the real estate, because we also, being a new our immigrants ourselves, we have gone through the process.
That's right.
And the best thing about the IQ is that we keep in touch with a lot of partners we have who are in the process of helping the new immigrants. So we as a knowledge within our team is so up to date that we can basically help them, guide them, handhold them to a lot of things before they come, before they come to Canada and after they come to
Yeah.
Canada. So let's begin with any person who want to coming and moving from their own city where they settle down to Canada. There are a lot of things to be done before they even travel.
That's right.
Especially with COVID, there are a number of factors being added to the list, the to-do list we have. So one of the things they do we start with the COVID thing. They must do their COVID test. I think 72 hours before. It has to be less than 72 hours, right? Because
Yeah.
to make sure that, I mean, you cannot just do the test and then wait for a ticket. So they make sure they time it well. That whenever they take the ticket, the test needs to be happening within a number of hours within the travel time. And when the change of travel, they have to do the test again. So that's the first thing. And also at the same time with the COVID, Canadian rule of quarantine in hotel for 3 days. So that's become more critical because they have to pre-book the ticket through a specific link. They cannot just book the ticket any hotel they wish to. There has to be certain hotels which are prescribed and authorized by Canadian government, and there's a link to that. So they only can book in those hotels.
And that's a very important point. I've just been joined by Kashif. Hi, Kashif. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining us. So one thing, like what you mentioned, is that very important for the hotel thing is that because while all this travel, which said after school people are traveling, it's very important. The COVID test, your ticket, and your hotel reservation. Those 72 hours is very critical because if you're not getting your test, if you get your test done and you're not getting the hotel on that particular day, that's a problem as well. And these are very designated hotels, as you mentioned. So you cannot just book any hotel on that. We don't know how long this will continue, but it seems like, just for the development right now, this is being considered. And also keep in mind is that as soon as you get your negative test, what we have heard and seen is that sometimes you could leave a hotel in next second day or third day, depending on your result. But again, you have already paid for that. From that time onwards, also, where do you want to go and rest and do the rest of the quarantine? Because you still have to complete the 14 days of your quarantine, even after leaving the hotel and with a negative test on that. As you know, Junaid, most of the people are working from home. The kids are studying from school. We have a stay-at-home order, so most of the people are at home. So even if you're consider of going to a relative, you got to make sure that the relative have enough space or a separate place for you to have a quarantine. Because if they don't, then that particular family is also exposed to that process. So very important to look at that. And another thing is that what we do recommend is that if you are coming for the first time, you've done your hotel thing, we can help you even book a furnished place, to have your quarantine done. So at least you've completed your quarantine, and then you start the next process. So that's also another tip, which is very one key factor to consider.
I think, yeah, I think Yusuf, as you know, that moving to a new country is alone is stressful. It's not easy. It's very challenging, especially for the head of the family,
That's right.
and especially with the kids, depending on what age your kids are, right? And with the COVID, it becomes more challenging because now with the land to Canada, you cannot go to your relatives. The relatives can't come and pick you up. I know it can greet you and it can take you around, and it's not any more relaxed. The first few days are very stressful, especially if you have younger kids who have a specific requirement in terms of food and different sort of preferences. So it's also important. It's very important that you talk to someone you know and who trusts people, so at least you can get a bit of an idea in terms of expectations what's going to go through. Because when you come to the hotel, you have to pre-book tickets. The test is done. When you land here, another test is done. Interestingly, and you go to the straight to the hotel, and there will specific designated cars who are going to take you to your hotel based on your bookings. Once you get there, you have to stay there minimum 3 days, depending on when you get your test results. And if test results come negative, you can leave the hotel. But if you come positive, unfortunately, you have to go and stay for another number of days. It could be from anywhere from 10 to 14 to 15 until you get better to a designated space. We don't know where the space are. Government takes you there.
Yeah.
So you need to make sure that when you pack it, you have to pack it accordingly. Because one thing that nobody's going to be there to pick your stuff, pick your luggages. You have to pick your luggage yourself. So you have to make sure that you two type of packaging. One is a permanent, one is short term packaging,
Okay.
where you can use it in a hotel. Because in a hotel also nobody is going to be there to pick up your. I heard from some people that nobody is going to be there as a bellboy. You can take your luggage upstairs and downstairs, especially when taking out from the car. So there are small. There's so many small things which have nothing to do with real estate, but
That's right.
but.
These tips are
uh,
purely for new immigrants coming in.
So we as a Juwai IQI, as it always says, that we take care of our clients. We make sure that we go beyond our typical mandate of real estate to help the client, because that's how what we do and what we are as a family, as a IQI, and take care of the client needs. So there are so many things. It's best to talk to us, connect with us through a WhatsApp, through an email, through a website. Get in touch with us, ask the right question, tell us what you want, and we always sometimes you don't even know what you want, so we'll try to help you as much as possible. Now, in terms of what you said, in terms of the residential thing, right? Is it, as you rightly said? So once you finish your hotel stay, I mean, before COVID, you can stay with your relatives, right? They can accommodate you even if this with this small space. There's no concern about COVID and all this thing. But with COVID, I think it's become more challenging. I would advise, if I personally, to stay in a furnished accommodation, a short-term
That's
rental,
right.
because then you don't want to put other relatives into the risk of exposing yourself if you have anything.
Absolutely, Junaid. And do the booking in advance on that, right? I mean, yes, everybody wants to come and find up a rental place, and that's why you want to settle in. But right now, even like before COVID, one thing we've always suggested to our clients is that if you're coming here for the first time, get a furnished place at least for a month, 2 months, and then you decide whether you want to rent out a place, whether you want to buy. Then there's so many other factors to consider, which will be talking about as well. I mean, especially if you have kids who are school going kids on that factor, right? I mean, you need to find out which schools and what grades are they going is also makes a difference, right? From a high school to a primary to a secondary school, so those are the things which you need to consider before just jumping into a place. We do get requests from people saying that, what, I like this particular area because my family or my friend is there. Can I get an apartment on that particular location? Also, there are challenges which I want people to understand. Number one thing is that maybe every location is not for you, depending upon if my kids are college going or high school kids, and if your kids are in a primary school, then it's still a big difference in where I want my kids to go to school and where do you want to go to your kids to school. Number one. Number two thing is that sometimes it becomes a bit challenge as well because you have not looked at the place. You're trying to just get into a place and you don't know what is the space all about. Because as you know, Jeanette, if you're coming back from home, a two-bedroom apartment, could be quite different in Canada as compared to a two-bedroom apartment in Dubai, for example.
Yeah. So it's very important. It's very important that before you jump to the decision of buying a property, investing your money, it's always good to take your time. Never rush. We never advise to rush through the decision making, as you know. I mean, we could because our job is to make sure people buy and sell properties. But I think we are in a business where we try to help the customers for a long term purpose, right? So we want to make sure the client who want to buy or rent, even for rent, because moving from one city to one country to another country is stressful. With COVID, it become more stressful. With
Yes,
3 days quarantine, you're so tired. So it's important for your kids and family to relax. If you go to any relatives, they don't have enough space. It's best to stay in accommodation where you can relax, chill, have some off time, couple of few days. And anyway, you can't get out until your 14 days quarantine is over. So 3 days in a hotel, another 11 days in a specific location, you can't even get out. And when you are not in Canada, you don't know about Canada. Even if you're returning, a lot of things change over the time, as you know. You're living in a specific country where two-bedroom is 1,500 square foot. In Canada, it could
yes,
be 700 or 800 square foot. In a
exactly.
locality, in a building where you don't want to live, in a demographic, in the space. So until you feel it, you experience it. I mean, we can help and buy people home while sitting in anywhere in the world.
Yes.
But for immigrants who want to live on this earth, I think it's best for them to come and see and experience and feel it before even renting. Forget about buying.
Because one of the most important thing is that, like, I get a lot of clients who would pack their big furniture, you know, and they will come here. And even when you're getting into a bigger house, because the furniture is really valued, what they've looked at. But unfortunately, even at detached houses, sometimes the sizes are a bit different for a big detached house as well compared to a villa. You know what I mean? Where you're coming from, because that big furniture may not fit into your house. Then you have a
Interesting you
little
mentioned
corner.
it. I mean, even 5 months back, a very good friend of mine who came from Dubai, a family moved. He's a returning immigrant. He already
Yeah,
had a house here, semi-detached. So I told him that don't bring your furniture here because Dubai furnitures are different than in size and shape.
that's right.
So he said, okay, I will not bring, but he still brought some of the stuff, and he put in a container. So when he came here after week 10 days, he called me. You are right, realizing that some of the stuff is I put on a container. is not going to enter the main door of the house.
That's right.
Forget about
That's
that.
right. That's
So
right.
so he's thinking, what do I do now? Because he's already the container is packed and been shipped. I think best way to dispose of your stuff or send back to Pakistan or any other country you can do it, because if you bring it here, you can't get it. You will spend the money on shipping and then and moving,
And you don't know where to keep that sort of furniture.
and
And
you sometimes you end up paying the money to dispose of that furniture because nobody's going to buy it.
exactly, exactly. Or the other option is that if you want to keep that furniture, you put it in the storage somewhere, come in, get settled in, look at the spaces and stuff like that, and
Hmm.
then do it. And as you know, why we have those two showings after for every house we sell, Junaid,
Yeah.
that's the specific reason. We want people to go after you have firmed up a deal. You got two more showings to go in there. The reason we have those two more showings is that for people to go and to take their measurements and
Yes.
see if you want to order a furniture, what sort of furniture you should order, rather than ordering the furniture first at your house and you walk in and realize, oh my God, this cannot fit into my living room or into my bedroom.
Yeah, because the amount of money you spend in shipping and everything else, you can use that money to buy new furniture in Canada. Canada is not that expensive in terms of certain things. So cost of living is very, very reasonable as compared to countries like in Middle East and other countries in Europe. Of course, I'm talking about a basic standard cost of living for any average size of family. But I think it's important for people to get to know all these things ahead of time, because I mean, even for driving license, it was a simple
Yeah,
thing. Even for insurance, a lot of people doesn't even know that they can use the insurance wherever they're living, of their insurance experience of the license of the number of years in Canada. Because if you come Canada, you take the license and you don't tell the authorities or the insurance company that you had license before, they will treat you as a new license holder, and the insurance premium will be high. But if you show them that you had, let's suppose you're living in Dubai or Pakistan or any other countries, Middle Eastern countries or European countries, where you had license for 5, 10 years and your insurance where you have an insurance history, you can use this in insurance history and license history in Canada to reduce your insurance premium. And a lot of people doesn't even know that. So it's a
and
small
not
thing.
only, absolutely, you're right. And like as you said, sometimes your car payment or the car you have bought is more expensive. Your insurance premium is more expensive for the car payment you're doing. For example, if you're making car payment of $400, you're actually
Yeah.
paying up an insurance of $500. Plus, if you have the kids who are still under 24, then the premium goes more up. So these are small things that needs to be really considered. One more thing, Jay would want to tell our viewers is that even for if you're coming here for the first time, you just landed up, you've done your quarantine, at least try to still stick to your furnished place for some time, at least for a couple of months, and then if you are looking to buy a property immediately, you know, please make sure that you have a down payment and a deposit of at least 35% for the new immigrants already lined up, because there are people who will come and say, you know what, I'm okay, I can be at a place at a couple of months. I've got so many clients who've done that. They've come in, they've got a place for 2 months, and then immediately they start looking for a place and they could do a closing which is immediate or even a couple of months later on. But even to do that, please make sure that you have a 35% of down payment, which is at least a minimum requirement, by some of the banks, because you don't have a job right now, and they would qualify you under a new immigrant program on that.
I think it is a very important point, because once you went through the whole initial phase of quarantine and settling down and furnished accommodation or whatever accommodation you have, it's also important to do the financial planning properly. I mean, we as a real estate advisory company, we have a lot of experience in helping people. I mean, yourself, myself, we are ex-banker, ex-financial qualifications. We have a lot of experience in helping clients and investors to make the right investment decision. So I think it's important for everyone to talk to us ahead of time to make sure that we guide you and time things properly. I mean, advise you, because there are different type of categories of immigrants who are coming, who have got enough money, you can buy cash, who have immigrants who have done down payment, and some people who don't have enough down payment. So there are always a solution for every type of circumstance and situations. It's also important to go to the right person, and when you talk to us, or any person you trust, we don't only help in real estate buying, selling, renting, but also help and advise in terms of this is helping people to understand and guide to the right partners, assess mortgage advisors, bankers, how to improve the credit rating, bank account opening,
Absolutely.
credit card, telephone. There's so many things you require when you move to a new country.
And Junaid, you forgot to mention we don't charge for that.
Yes.
These are not these we don't charge for these services. This is a part of our. We should say that's a part of our duty. Which we feel that when we always say that we are here to give you an advice, we are not here just to sell you things like that. That another very important thing is that there is also a category which is called a returning immigrants.
Mm.
Now those immigrants who have done a soft landing, they might have come about a year and a half ago, and now they've gone back. They went back, and now they're trying to come in for whatever reason. The kids are going back to school. They've already, tried, tested. So there's also very important tip for them as well. Now those people who are coming in, who's already been here, the tips are a bit different because since they've looked at the place, I think they are in a position to come to an area as well. Uh, and also one of the tips for those returning immigrants who are outside, who plan to come later on, you could always buy a pre-construction condo with a 20% down payment stretched over a year and a half, which actually helps you in the appreciation of your price. For if there is immigrants, any people who are listening who's already been there and plan to come for next 2 years or 3 years, what will happen is that by the time you come in, your money is already, doubled up. At least that's what I've experienced with pre-construction. And when you come in, you could decide either you want to close that condo or maybe you want to do an assignment. So it's a different topic, but that's also another thing for somebody who's looking to buy even before coming, especially for the returning immigrants.
And also the third category is that those who already are Canadians or settled outside and no want to come back. So of course, if they don't have the house, or if they have the house, they already rented it out. So that's another challenge. Because recently I have a person who had the house rented out. He was planning to come like in last year, sometime in August, September. He couldn't come because he had to give the notice to the tenant, and tenant took the time because tenant can't find the house immediately because
That's
of
right.
COVID situation. So his plan was moved from I think 4 to 5 months from initial plan. So it's also important because and you also need help to make sure that you're serving a notice and make sure the tenants getting out, and the tenants goes out, the maintenance and the whatever work needs to be done how before he comes in. So there are a lot of work needs to be done, and if you don't have anyone who can do it for you, even if your people or relatives living here, always everybody's busy. So we as an IQI provide those services, and of course, a lot of subs are complimentary as part of the package we give, and we also do this as a part of the community service because this is when we came here, people help us, so we are helping the new immigrants to make sure that they feel comfortable. Of course, business is part of that. As a business, we get our remuneration from the people who sell, the sellers, and not from the buyers. So the immigrants are mostly buyers or the tenants. So we get from landlord. So please free to don't hesitate to contact us, and we're happy to
And
help.
there's so many other questions which come even for the returning immigrants is that, like
I think
in
we need
terms
a
of
2 hour program to do that, but yeah, of course we can.
because there are so many tips and factors that needs to be considered for each and every. And again, as you mentioned, every category of person. When I say category, what I mean is that your personal circumstances, whether you have university going kids, you have school going kids. Very interesting thing. I've had a family who moved here. Their daughter was going to University of Toronto in Toronto, and the son was in a high school. So now they were in the dilemma, right? Where should we get a space? I mean, should we be in Toronto? Should we be in Mississauga? Where they were looking at and the kid was in a high school thing. So that's where we said, what, one of the other things has to be compromised, right? So find them a solution. Okay, it's one of the best schools in Mississauga. That's where they wanted to stay. They have some relatives as well. Well, not only that, the location you're getting into it, how close is that to a transit service for your son or daughter to go to University of Toronto in Toronto on that? Because different timings are happening, different classes are happening at different, at different schedules. Sometimes you have morning classes. Okay, now things are a bit different. You're doing everything online. But the way situation is going on, which is expected that we're looking for a September session to hopefully start getting a normal session. So those are the things also to consider. That where exactly are your kids going to? Because if you have a kid going to maybe in Hamilton and you want to live in Mississauga, big difference. Are you willing to do that, up and down for university going kid or not?
Sometimes we advise the client that depending on the kids, because not everything is relying on the kids' education, school, and location, right? Because if you have three kids, the three go in different directions, different type, different universities, different degrees, and different, then you can't be having a buying a home in all locations. So sometimes also makes sense that you do the cost benefit analysis, whether they're buying the car for them so they can commute, or they can have another small apartment or dome to spend money, because you need to buy the home and keeping a different perspective, different factors. So at least that's what our job is, to help through that process, because it's a big decision to buy the home, especially in a new country where you have not lived enough time and not have enough time, and you don't know everything. So that's where we come in. We play the role of helping you as an advisor to go through that process of decision making, taking into all the aspect, not only the financial aspect, but also the emotional and the preference aspect. Where do you want to live? What type of house you want to live? What type of demographic you will live? What sort of areas you want to close by? Some people want to live a suburb, some want to live in a main downtown city. It depends on the preference.
Exactly. And then budget comes in, that's the other part comes in their budget as well, right? I mean,
Hmm.
what can you actually afford versus what can you get in the market on that? And one more thing which we advise for the new immigrants, especially if you are in that process of 2 months of stay and you're trying to buy a house, and especially if you're on a limited budget, don't go for bidding wars because you don't know
Yeah.
how situation come out because you may be looking for a job opportunity in that. So don't go for a bidding war. Maybe this is not the right time for you to buy. Would
Hmm.
advise you that, based on the situation, the best thing right now is to rent it out for a year. I mean, don't get into the famous term, the fear of what is your fear of missing out, FOMO,
Hmm.
right? So don't get that term of FOMO into it that if I don't do it, I'm just going to miss out on that. So will advise you that what is the right thing. So just for a recap for people who joined right now, the factors which we talked about, number one, especially right now with the COVID going on, if you are planning to come here, you need to have a negative COVID test 72 hours before. You need to make sure that you have a hotel quarantine, which is right now happening for at least 3 days. From going forward onwards, if you want to be with a relative, make sure there's enough space for you to have a quarantine where you can be away from the family. If not, then you look for furnished apartment. I mean, again, there are so many things to look at it, which comes to the insurance, the licensing, and things like that. We've been there, we have done that, we have always helped our clients on that. Feel free to contact Team IQI Canada. As we always say, that we are here to serve you and to help you and to advise you which would be the right time and right decision for you.
Yeah, perfect. You summed it perfectly. I think, and then even before you coming here, you should get into touch with us. Like I told you, I was talking to someone who's going to planning to move to Canada in July. So it's important for you to talk to us, even if you planning 3 or 4 months from now, and even for a year. I mean, I've been talking to a few people who have been planning to come next year, and those, as you mentioned, the use of that day, the person has bought the pre-construction project because he already has a PR card holder, and he did self-landing. So he's already bought the home pre-construction, which is going to be ready next year, in time with when he's coming back. So he's going to live there.
That's right. So a very good question from Kashif. Can IQI Canada office help clients getting immigration? So we have immigration partners. If there are people who are looking to for immigration opportunities, we have business partners which we can recommend. And again, as you know, the immigration is a very depending on an individual situation, whether you're getting into skill category, whether you're getting into business category, and again, which province are you getting with? So to answer that question, yeah, Kashif, we have business partners which we can recommend for anybody who is looking for some immigration opportunities, even if it's related to a business immigration opportunity. We can help you, find a business as well.
There are a lot of people out there who are looking for education for the kids or the who are universities. So there are different consultants who help their kids in placement also, of course, for international students. Similarly, as I said, there are different. There are so many different types of immigration programs, and they keep evolving, keep changing by Canadian government. So it's best if you want to talk to someone, you can always get in touch with us, and you can always refer to the right immigration consultants for you to get advice. Of course, what we do these programs are the benefit of the people, general knowledge. These are not specific advice. So just to make sure that people understand that if they want specific advice for circumstances,
Yes.
they should talk to us or talk to any specific specialized person, whether it be a lawyer, realtor, immigration consultant, lawyers, accountant, to get the right advice, because you never know. There may be something applicable to you, but the circumstances determine what specific action you should be taking.
Absolutely. With this, we'd like to wind up for today's evening session, Junaid. I think, as you said, we need 2 hours, so we'll have to take topic by topic and and put in our coming evening talks. Talk about it on that. So do watch out. By the way, next Tuesday is going to be our 100th episode, non-stop 100 episode. So there's going to be a special program, a special guest coming in. So keep tune into IQI Canada Facebook page. And I guess tomorrow we are doing a commercial.
Land,
With
we're doing a program with our regular speaker, Dinesh, who
Dinesh,
is a
yeah,
commercial mortgage advisor. We are going
awesome.
to discuss about the land financing, which is very important nowadays because a lot of land people are buying and they're looking for financing. So it's a specific financing for the land acquisition. So we're going to discuss about that. And then next Saturday and other Tuesday is another. There's going to be a special episode. So we are
So
keenly, excitedly waiting for that program. But Saturday also we're coming up with the
yeah,
very exciting program about the platform and why agents should consider joining IQI Juwai. Not consider should join because is the future forward looking platform.
absolutely. Friday is a mentoring session. Sunday is the canteen session. Monday is the economic outlook by Shan
Yeah.
Saeed. The monthly one. Then will have Beta. She'll be talking about land on tenants. And next week we have insurance with Anthony as well. So we got a huge lineup of evening talks. So tune into IQI Canada Facebook to watch all these shows. With this
Perfect.
note, take care of yourself. Bye bye.
Stay safe.
Bye.
Bye.